Hello. Come on, I want to invite you. Go live with all about the jewels. So we've just invited Shaney to join us, so hopefully she's going to be coming on. Thank you everyone for joining me for my live chat. Yes! Oh my God, Shaney, that was the most smooth line live I've done yet. I'm really, really impressed. That was so quick. I'm a bit paranoid. Someone said to me last week, "Oh, you took so long, to get the person to join. I've just lost interest." And I thought, "Oh God, is it? I want to make it fun." So thank you for joining me today.
That's right.
I'm so pleased you've come on and you wanted to chat to me. So how have you been? How's this week been?
Oh, it's been chaos, actually. It's been incredibly busy, really busy this week. We did Covent Garden Monday, Kempton Tuesday, and then up for a massive bulk purchase of costume jewellery on the Wednesday. So I've been sorting it since then.
Oh my God, Shane. So just because some people are joining and some people probably know you from the markets, because we've got a lot of our friends that will come on and watch us here, just being nosy, seeing what we're talking about. And then, there's other people that have no clue who you are, probably no clue who I am, but just joining us. Tell everyone, how did you first start? How did you get onto the jewellery path? How did you discover jewellery? How did you get into this business?
Well, my mum did and has done for 20 years. She's done antiques, but she actually started off doing porcelain and things like that, and then progressed into jewellery. And when I was 12, I used to go up and I was her eyes and ears at Covent Garden, and she used to have a little pitch next to the cafe. And I used to sort of stand on the side, and she used to have a big banana box full of costume, and it was like £2 a piece or £1 a piece or whatever it was. And in the evenings, she used to come back and she'd pour it onto the kitchen table in these great big trays, and we used to have to sit there and untangle it. So I kind of, from when I was little, had an interest in it. Hated it, if I'm honest, when I was little. Really didn't like it at all. It wasn't for me. I wanted to be a photographer.
Did you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
Well, I went to university and did a photography degree because that's what you do. And it was great. I really enjoyed it, but realised that there was zero money in it unless I wanted to do advertising, which I can't stand. Which is why my Instagram's always so sporadic.
Thank you, John.
So we used to go up and do Covent Garden, and my uncle is a watchmaker, or he was. So he used to do, restoring all the pocket watches and things like that. And I kind of just fell into it from that, really.
Oh my God, because we've met because I do Kempton, and that's how we've dealt with each other over the last few years. And that's how I've known you. But I have to say, you're like Superwoman when you buy. The amount of jewellery that you buy, costume jewellery, is incredible. And what would you say is your best sort of? Have you got a bestseller? Because you often sell in bulk, don't you, Shaney?
I do. Pretty much everything I sell now. I do get people that come and buy 2 or 3 pieces, because everything of ours is £5 a bit, 3 for a tenner. It doesn't matter what it is.
So guys, did you hear that?
so we chuck it out on the table, and we do get people that come and buy 10 pieces. But most of the time, we do have people that walk away with sort of carrier bag full, because it's cheaply priced. Yeah. Because like you say, I buy in bulk, so I sell it in bulk, and I just put a margin on top, and that works for me, and I'm happy with that. I think probably my biggest seller would be, believe it or not, brooches.
Really?
Most people can't sell a brooch for love or money, and I sell thousands of them. They're fantastic sellers. Costume brooches are brilliant.
Yeah, because I think the price range and what you're selling, when you think of department stores that are selling modern mass-produced manufactured costume jewelry these days, and some of it can be the price of good quality gem set antique jewelry, can't it?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm astounded when I see some of the prices of things. And then, you know, they can come and buy a piece from you, like a really good quality piece of 1920s paste. You know, you sort of get the like the drippy ones that are in like the square. Is it electro? They're what is the metal that they're often set in? They're not, it's silver, are they often, the paste jewellery?
Chrome.
Yeah, chrome.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And you know, the chrome, the sort of almost looking like Duchess of Windsor's sort of Cartier jewellery, the complete copy of that. And I've seen some fantastic pieces like that. And I think, you think what they would have been, you know, how much they would have been new. You know, how, you know, do you have things like that, Shaney? Have you got anything that you can show us?
I've pulled out some bits, but they're probably not what you'd expect. So I pulled out, I'll show you. Hang on. See if I can turn this around. I'm not very good at this.
Oh, someone's saying, Shaney, someone's asking, you wanted, I can't read what she's put there. You wanted, I can't see what she's put here, but she's put, and you were a great photographer. It must be someone who knows you, I think. Yeah. Well, anyway, go on.
These are the pieces I've put together. They're not really, they're probably not what you'd expect. So this is a love of mine. Beads, Venetian glass beads.
Oh, yeah. Guys, I was just going to say, I'm really glad that you've shown those, Shaney, because I've had some over the years, and every single one has been different, and the colours. So, can you just explain to the followers exactly what Venetian glass beads are? Do you know, and how they were made, and the different qualities? Can you tell us a bit about them?
So Venetian glass beads, well, without having done a huge amount of research, they are basically produced in a very small island in Italy, and it's the only place in the world where they are produced.
Yes.
With the exception of, obviously, there are lots of mass reproductions now, but originally they would come from there, and they were hand blown. And they used to have things like, you can see, so all the little tiny pieces of work would be called lamp work.
Can everybody see that? That's amazing. Look at the detailing.
So, and then you've got little
roses, Shaney, on there. Is that, they're like carved roses, are they?
Yeah, so you've got like little pink roses. Sorry, they're not, it's not easy to see.
Yeah, no,
and then
I can see that. I can see that.
And then the really popular ones would have, like these have, they have like a gold stone over the top.
Yes.
And a gold colouring. And then sometimes you'd get I mean, the really rare ones, you actually get the gold stone that's worked into the glass as well.
Yeah.
And then you get like the pink flowers that are moved in as well. They used to be given out as wedding gifts, and that's why they.
And what period are those, Shaney? How old are those?
You're really testing my knowledge here. I'd say probably 1910, 1920s. Yeah.
And can I ask you, how much would those be, so people know roughly, you know, what you would get those? Because I think those are a fantastic buy. I really do.
They are. They're the sort of thing that they fluctuate an awful lot. So sometimes they're really, really popular. At the moment, they're very current. I keep getting asked all the time, have you got any Venetians? Have you got any foils? And they're very, very rare to come across. And then you come across times where for some reason they just don't sell. But generally speaking, a row like this, they are really, really long. There you go.
Yeah, they are long. Well, they are quite long, because sometimes they're fatter and graduated and shorter, aren't they? But those are quite long. So
for me, I mean, these would be the sort of thing that I would sell for, say, £70 or £80 to the trade. But online, they're a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm probably a bad judge of value, because I don't tend to try and overprice things. But yeah, so I'd say online maybe 150 to 200. They're lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a really good. And what else have you got in your little box of trinkets? Come on, get it all out. We want to see it.
Okay. Well, I pulled this one out, and this isn't a costume; it's a watch. But I had to, because this was handmade for me by my uncle.
Oh my God, that's incredible! Is that the moon?
Yeah. So he actually made the whole thing. Pardon?
What's the significance of the moon? Oh, thank you, John.
Well,
I've got my cup of tea.
My uncle's an artist, and he does paints. He paints anything to do with astrology. He absolutely loves it. So,
oh my God, That's amazing, Shaney. I love that. Oh, what a clever man.
So even
That's so special.
Yeah, so even the strap, he did it for my 30th birthday because I'm now old. So
Not as old as me, I bet.
The strap is he carved it all from the stainless steel,
yeah,
and made it sort of matted so that it looks like meteorite type material.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Hand painted all of the dial. So
that's incredible. And is he still working? Is he still doing?
He does. He do commission pieces like this,
yeah.
But generally speaking, no. He does. You know, he just does what he wants to do now.
But that's incredible with the moon on the dial. I mean, what a talented chap. Oh, you've got a cup of tea going too. And what have you got? Anything else there to show us? I mean, what would you say? Have you got anything at the moment that's a current trend that you can't get more? You know, you're selling out of, and people are really wanting in demand at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. Czechoslovakian jewellery is an absolute nightmare. I can't get enough Czechs jewellery. It's crazy. Brooches, dress clips, necklaces, earrings. Doesn't matter if it's a tiny little piece or a great big piece. I just can't get enough of it. It just keeps selling, and it's infuriating, actually.
Well, the thing is that, you know, is it going out of the country? Because I'm finding, you know, that there's a huge market at the moment. The Chinese are buying so much of our antique jewellery, aren't they?
Yeah,
so who?
I mean, one of the things, by doing the bulk, you do see an awful lot of. I do have an awful lot of Chinese customers, and a lot of it does get exported, and it's kind of wonderful in a way that it's getting shared around the world, but also it does make things more scarce and rarer and difficult to source. Yeah.
No, I can believe that. Have you I mean, you must have, the way that you buy and the amount that you buy and all the different things that you buy, have you ever sort of come across something that you've, you know, like a little hidden gem that you thought, oh my God, you know, like I had something years ago in a mixed lot. I found a huge pair of diamond stud earrings, and they were 3 carats each in a mixed slot out of a tiny little like a farm auction, you know, and and there was lots of things in there, but these earrings were in there, and I couldn't believe it. And I thought, they can't be you know, I can tell a diamond, or think, you know, and I looked, they are diamond, and I thought, but they can't be, you know, and they were, and I did end up buying them. And it was quite strange because I nearly was going to end up giving up. I'd had a bit of a bad run. This was years ago, and I thought, you know, I just don't think this business is for me. I just had a bit of bad luck. And I always I feel I've got some sort of guardian angel that watches over me, and that she bought that lot to me with those earrings. I don't know, it's crazy. But have you had any stories like that?
I've got a couple, actually. I went to an auction house a few years ago, and there was a very large load of costume that I sort of had my eye on, and I went through it and found a really large row of WMF beads.
Oh, I love WMF beads. Oh my God.
But I won the lot, and I won them for a very reasonable price. And I think the reason for that was because not everybody does know what they are. And so that was probably one of my nicest lots that I won, because I'd never had any before. I think the other thing I found, which I loved, was there was a gentleman at a market, and he stalled out with huge amounts of cloisonne.
Oh wow!
On his table. And I love cloisonne, and actually, believe it or not, it's one of my best jewelry sellers alongside my brooches. I sell cloisonne jewelry like you wouldn't believe. I'm not quite sure why, but I was talking to a lady actually the other day at Covent Garden, and she said that the quality of how it's made now and then is different to the stuff that they used to produce way back when.
I
they
think that's the case with so many things, don't you, Shaney? You know.
Yeah. So they said the enamel work on it's really good, and that's why people seem to like it. So anyway, he had this big table full of all sort of like cloisonne pots and things like that. Anything other than jewelry is not my field. I don't understand it. But he had these 2 great big ducks, and they were beautiful, and there was something about them that didn't look like cloisonne, that I don't know why I bought them, but I took them home and thought they just had a different look to the way that the enameling was set and the wire work on them, and they really were wonderful. And they had little backs, and you could take the back off, and then I sort of took them home and had a really good look through them, and it turned out they were silver, and they were 1920s sort of little duck ornaments. They're quite big, and they were like export sort of things, and I sold them a few days later. I think they're probably one of the rarest things I've found.
Oh, but I think you know, in the trade that we do as antique, you know, dealers of secondhand pieces, it's, you know, one of the things I think that always keeps you inherently hungry to look and find something, and you know, find something hidden or something that you know about in your knowledge that maybe someone else doesn't know about. You know, although I have to say, and I think you probably agree, don't you, Shay, it's getting harder to find that now, isn't it? Those, like those WMF beads that you found, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the rare finds are definitely fewer and further between. But I think it's still out there if you look for it. It's just, it is definitely harder to find.
And can I ask you, one of the things I was just thinking, so I know that you buy at Kempton, you know, and that's because that's how we met. And do you find at Covent Garden, do you buy there as well, or you just go there to sell? Where do you sell. You just sell. Mm-hmm. So where do you find the best places for you to buy? Would you go to somewhere like a car boot sale, or? No,
I used to go to auction houses, and I used to do all of the markets, but I have one particular source that I buy very large quantities off now.
Yeah.
And that's generally sort of how I keep myself busy.
Yeah. So that's good that you've got a source and a supplier. And also, if people want to buy from you, because we were just looking earlier at your website,
yeah,
and we thought how reasonable your prices are, Shaney. Really
well,
good.
I try not to put overprice things. So, I mean, I know that it's more that I try to price it so that I'm aiming for the trade as opposed to the general public, because I don't often deal a lot with the general public. Obviously we've got the shop, and we do costume and things like that in the shop as well, and it's great, you know, we do have this, but I don't personally deal with the public, if that makes sense. So yeah, try and keep it at a price that I know I can move it on at. Yeah,
you're more wholesale trading in that way. But then, you know, when you're at Covent Garden, you must get lots of tourists and people that will come to you because your things are a bargain.
I do, but I'm sort of there until 12 o'clock, and then that's it. I'll pack up and go home.
I mean, guys, if I tell you, I saw Shaney Tuesday just gone, and I came to pick up these lovely beads. I've got them somewhere, but they're not here with me now, so I forgot to bring them. But you were literally, you had like 2 or 3 stalls with big plastic boxes, and your customers were literally having Tupperware trays, weren't they, just filling them. It was literally like jewellery, stack it high, buy, you know, bring and buy. It was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I don't know how you keep tabs on all the prices and everything. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, it's a bit like Scoop and Weigh. I used to have a fantastic Scoop and Weigh shop that I loved.
It's like pick and mix for sweets, but for jewellery.
Yeah, exactly. It's what I generally do. The process is I will pick the items up. I pull out the items that I know I need to have, say £5, £10, £15 or more for. Yeah. The items that go onto the table are all designed to be £5 each, 3 for a tenner. And that was the first time actually on Tuesday that I'd put them into crates. Normally it's just a big mountain of mess, and I have to get a broom at the end of the day and sweep it up because it's gone on the floor.
Oh,
I'm not joking, I do.
That is so.
I constantly have people coming and picking things up and putting it back on the table and saying that's fallen off. So this time we put it all into categories, you know, so we had all miracle in one, we had all gold plate in another one, we had all glass sort of deco beads, and actually I think apart from the gold plated tray, which people seem to sort of really want to get in on, the rest of them were quite easy. People were able to sort of maneuver around the stall of it, so it wasn't quite such a free-for-all.
So that sounds, obviously when you're selling things, you know, 3 for a £5 or 3 for a tenner and things like that, they're not precious metal. They're, you know, let's get that right, everyone. They're just paste. It literally is vintage costume jewellery. But do you must get and buy slightly nicer things, Shaney, like silver and you know, maybe nicer marquisite. That do you sell any slightly higher level jewellery as well?
I do. I mean, if you ever see me at the markets, I always say, ask me for what you need, because 9 times out of 10 I've got it in a crate, but it's behind the store. So the only stuff that goes out is the £3 stuff, but we will have 2, 3, or even sometimes 5 or 6 crates that are full, but they'll be full of sort of nicer, higher end pieces, which, you know, they're for people that ask for them, basically.
Yes. Yeah. So if people are watching this and anyone's going to come and see you, so if they want to come and see you, you're at Covent Garden every Monday morning, is that right?
Yep, every Monday morning, 5 a.m. till 12 p.m.
5 a.m. You see, this is the life of antiques dealer. It's the early hours.
But I am a little bit like Where's Wally, because I don't have a permanent pitch, so you kind of just have to try and spot me, and I'm there, but it's just like Where's Wally.
But I think
you'll find me eventually.
I think you'll be easy to spot, because I was looking for you at Kempton and walking around. I thought, where are you? And then I just saw the masses of crates and jewellery, and I was like, oh my God, I was shocked, because I'd not seen anybody. Because I think, to be honest with you, what you're doing, Shaney, now is, I think there's always been dealers of costume jewellery and things like that, but I think you're on a whole new level. You are literally like a massive wholesaler. You know, the amount that you've got. I mean, it is incredible. I mean, when you're like taking stock, how do you, I suppose you must write how many numbers of brooches and things, because how do you keep stock of what you've sold, you know?
Well, that's great. So, for example, the lot I picked up Wednesday, so I've sat down and I go through every single piece and I write a number down on a piece of paper, so I know exactly how many pieces I've got. Then they go into individual crates, and then those crates get stickers on with how much they've cost, and then when you take things out, then they have to get altered, and it's a process, logistical nightmare, but it works.
So do you bother to have you know, things going through the workshop and repairs and things? Because I'm thinking, no. Well, that's amazing, because, you know, obviously with our level jewellery, we have constantly things going and coming and going from the workshop. Everything has to be cleaned and polished and checked, the claws all checked and all of that. So with your stuff, it's literally...
No, my customers are completely aware of the fact that if they buy it from me, 9 times out of 10, it's either going to have a stone missing, which you're going to have to put back in, or there's going to be something that needs doing with it. Because I think, you know, obviously, like I said, we put the better stuff, the nicer quality that's perfect, that goes in crates behind. But when you're buying something for £3 and it's a lovely 1950s gold-plated vintage brooch and it's got 1 stone out, most people don't mind, and they will put the stone back in themselves because they're relatively easy to source.
Yes.
So no, I don't do repairs. I attempted it for a little while and then realized that it just was never going to happen, and that I needed 10 of me to do it. So
it's very time consuming. And you know, I did, when I first started years ago, I used to set stones in little gypsy rings and things like that, and set the pearls and things, and I can only see out of one eye, so I haven't got great eyesight. And that's one thing, if you're a jeweler and working at the bench, you know, you've got to have damn good eyesight, you know, because it's very close-up work. So I did it for a bit and just got myself in a rut, and I thought, I can't do this. No. I'm not going to be a jeweler. I'm just going to have to be, you know, a purveyor of selling the jewelry and you know, doing that. I think working at the bench is put it like this, it's a specialist craft, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be a certain kind of person to have the patience for it, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I did years and years ago, I used to on a Sunday sit and do stringing, and I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, that must be therapeutic, a bit like knitting or something, I imagine.
Yeah, but I could never get the gimping right at the end. So I have the French wire, and you know, you've got this like tiny little bit of cotton, and you've got to put it through and then back through a bead, and I never managed to get the hang of it. It always looks slightly lopsided or just not quite right.
I've got in fact, I used to have an older lady that used to do our pearl restringing, and I don't know if she's still around, but I think that's quite a craft that's dying. You know, getting a really good restringer is quite hard now.
It is. I have actually got a very good restringer who does, you know, if you've ever got the Georgian micro rolling pin coral, they'll even do all of those.
That's amazing. You know,
yeah. So if you've ever got any, let me know, because
that's the sort of thing. I think when I used to have the lady before, and I'd show her something like that, like the miniature seed pearl, the Georgian miniature
Yeah.
seed pearl sautoirs and things like that, she'd be like, no way, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Or she'd have it for at least a year. You know, you can't expect that to be quick because it's a long-winded job, you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the other thing I was going to ask you about, because I'm hoping later on this year I'm going to get Charlotte on, who sells designer costume jewellery. I don't know, I'm trying to think of Charlotte's handle and I can't think of it. Something vintage, I think. No, Toff, is it Toff? I don't know, but she does designer handbags and also specialises in named costume jewellery. And do you get much of that? You know, like the Christian Dior and...
Yeah, I do. I get a fair amount of Dior, Givenchy, pieces like that. The problem with it is that for every piece I've got, I probably get 5 or 6 customers that want it, and it does. You can't. It's like the Czechoslovakian stuff. You just can't get enough of it to supply everybody with. So,
but that's quite good money, doesn't it? I mean, well, I suppose it was a fortune when it was new.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I actually pulled a piece out. And
let's have a look.
Well, it's only a bog standard bracelet, but it's got a nice link to it, and it's Christian Dior 1980s. And I think the key thing with this stuff is that the plating has to be perfect, because once it's gone, it's, you know, it can be plated, but it's expensive, and it becomes, you know, pointless. But
and how much would something like that be, Shaney?
Well, from me, I'd sell something like that for sort of £40 to £50 from the trade.
It's really good value.
Yeah, but online, you know, again, you're probably looking at double, if not more. But I don't really do that. So.
No. Do you sell a lot through your website online, or would you say most of your business is in face to face in the markets?
It's half and half. I do about half my business face to face at markets, but I also run between 400 and 500 auctions through eBay every week.
Do you? That's incredible.
So we have a sale every Friday night. So that's tonight at 7:30 p.m.
Oh, well, good luck with that. That's amazing.
And all we sell is job lots of costume. So you'll get maybe 10, 15 pieces of costume in one bag. Yeah. We combine postage and we sell worldwide. And that's that. It's 7:30 p.m. till 10 p.m. We don't sell any other day of the week. It's only on a Friday. And then,
what's your eBay name?
All About the Jewels.
So it is the same. It's the same as your Instagram name. Yeah. So guys, if you listen to that, Shaney's got a time. So it's a timed auction, is it, Shaney? So it's everything finishes at
between 7:30 and 10 p.m.
Yeah. So between 7:30 and 10 p.m. guys, check out All About the Jewels on eBay and get yourself a bargain.
So we do that. We sell a lot of watches as well. That's another thing that I do a lot of vintage men's watches. And then obviously I've got an Etsy site as well, so we do tend to do the better quality costume goes on our Etsy site.
So really, I mean, how have you got time to do all of these things? You know, because I run mainly our Instagram, we've got our website and the shop. And we have got a TikTok account that we are posting some of the things we do on Instagram to TikTok. But I personally got one of the girls that works for me to do it. I haven't got the time to do it because I can't run this account and do TikTok and give it my best. I just can't. So, I mean, do you have help, Shaney?
Yes, I do. I do have a lady that does my eBay for me, because otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do it either. So I think things like the TikTok, I do have a TikTok account and Instagram and things like that. I actually use a buffer app. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
I have heard of that, yes.
So I use that and I schedule it well in advance. And then sometimes I forget and I don't pay anything on for ages. So I'm not particularly frequent. That's kind of what I do.
Yeah, that makes sense that you use buffer to schedule it, because when you told me that, I mean, sometimes, you know, when like this week, we've been quite busy in the shop. We've had a bit of a quiet period, but this week we've had a crazy day. Like I remember business used to be sort of 10 or 15 years ago, you know, and I was like, oh, I can't think straight. We're so busy, and it's given me hope, you know, that I feel like, because as I say, it had been quiet. So people always want to buy jewellery. People are always interested in buying antiques, aren't they? And I think, you know, there's such a good investment. And this is why I want to do these chats every Friday with whoever wants to come on and chat to me, because I think I want to educate people, you know, people, our followers and the public, that, you know, we're selling these like you are as well. I mean, it's just such good value items, and, you know, compared to buying modern mass produced, and it's already been made. So in a way, you're being, you know, environmentally friendly, because you're buying something that's already been produced, aren't you? So
yeah, I think,
you know, someone did
the vintage thing has always been there in the background. You know, people have always the sustainability, you know, the sort of hippies have always loved the retro and the vintage. It's just that in the last 5 years it's become really popular, and it's great. I think that's is what it should be. As you say, it's great, it's economic.
I mean, one of the things, Shaney, that I'm sort of keep advocating is I wish the press would be a bit more friendly to the antiques community, as in like the glossy magazines, because they always favour the new designers. You do see the occasional vintage antique person being featured, but I did have a follower who contacted me, because I did say about that once on one of my videos, that you know, they seem very when I say anti, you know, that I suppose they are anti. They don't, you know, it's all about modern, brand new, upcoming jewelers. And I, you know, some people are very talented, and the creative, the new jewelry they make is amazing, but there's, you know, what about our community, the vintage, and, you know, the pre-loved clothes is massive now, isn't it? So, you know, why can't
it really is
the same? And someone who is an editor, or, you know, she's involved in glossy magazines, she said, Victoria, it's about the money, you know, about paid advertising, and it's about the money. So, you know, that was her answer to why maybe that we're not always featured. So who knows? But, you know, just a little bit
it's a real shame actually as well, because there is a correlation between if you look at a Vogue magazine and you go through and flick through the, you know, the front cover necklaces, and then the really nice sort of whatever they've got in the middle section, there is a correlation between what people buy and what comes out in things like Vogue, the Stylist.
I agree with that. Yeah.
There really is. So, you know, I think a little bit more recognition wouldn't go amiss from that kind of industry. It would be great.
Yeah, I wish that you know, I have contacted Carol Wolford. She's she's like is involved with Vogue as their jewelry editor, and I watch her podcast as well, If Jewels Could Talk, and they're really interesting. So if you've got time to watch those podcasts, you know, she's always chatting to really interesting people within the jewelry world, be it designers or curators from museums, you know, very, very interesting people, and I'm really, you know, an advocate of that. But it always feels there's this towards the antique, you know, dealers, we don't get you know, mentioned, I think, as much as maybe we should, you know. So that's why I'm doing this, and I'm also hoping to turn this maybe into a podcast. So I don't know, watch this space. We'll see how popular it is and if people like it. But Shaney, we've been talking half an hour. Can you believe we've been chatting for half an hour?
No.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of silly little questions before we go. Are you left or right-handed?
I am right-handed, as in I would write with my right hand. I can write with my left as well, but I would play pool with my left hand and eat my dinner with my left.
Wow, that's because I'm a lefty, and we've had more left-handed people that I've interviewed than right, but you're almost evening it out, because last week we had a right, I think Michael was right-handed and you're right-handed, I'm left-handed. Do you have any pets or animals? That's the other thing I was going to ask you.
No. We had a dog and he died a couple of years ago. Oh. So yeah, no, I don't.
And do you have any other interests? Because you said about photography. Do you have anything else? I mean, this takes up so much time anyway, doesn't it?
Do I have? I love history, and I love artwork in general. I have a few artists that I collect, and I've just recently made a purchase from a very good up and coming artist called Alexander Reese.
Wow.
And he's like his artwork is based on all sort of Japanese themed art, basically. And when I was little, I grew up in a house. My mum used to have an obsession, and she doesn't do anything by heart, my mum. So, you know, if she wants something, all of a sudden it's everywhere. So she had an obsession with Japanese and Chinese ornaments and furniture and things like that. So we used to have all these lovely you know, ceramic seats and things in the hallway that you'd sit on, and like, you know, the lovely black lacquer cabinets and all that kind of thing. So I grew up with that oriental kind of theme within the house, so it's always really appealed to me. But no, she would, and one day she decided, I really love mailing wear, and that's it, I'm going to have mailing wear. About 2 weeks later, there was dozens of pieces of mailing wear everywhere. She wanted to together.
I think when you've been involved, or you've got family and antiques, you know, whether they're collectors or dealers of antiques, I think we all come from slightly strange, left off centre backgrounds, don't we? I almost feel like we don't fit. You know, when you go to Bermondsey, I know some of the dealers there I've chatted to, and one of them, we always laugh, and she said, "Yeah, we're the unemployables."
Yeah. But I always said to my mum, I feel like the broken robot in the factory. You know, that the one. You know, the raggy doll in the bin that nobody wants to play with. It's the oddball. Yeah.
But I think we all find a common ground, though, because we're like that. You know, that's why I'm loving chatting to you and, you know, anybody else, as I say, because we all deal in slightly different things, slightly different niches. We've all got something different to bring to the table. And that's why I'm really wanting to, like, share my followers, you know, introduce you to some of my followers, because I just think, you know, if you're looking for a nice piece of jewellery and you don't, you know, for a gift, and you only want to spend 10 or 15 pounds, you know, you don't have to spend a fortune. You know, our things are, you know, they're considered purchases, I realise that, but, you know, they can buy something from you. You know, I think everyone, if they've got to buy a gift, will spend 10 or 15 pounds, won't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, let's be honest, if you go to Kempton now and you buy a cup of coffee, it's going to cost you £2.50.
Yeah.
When you can buy store and buy a brooch for £3. So it's the same.
I'm going to leave you on a final question, which I have asked a few people. I'm just interested to see what you would say. So if you had a dinner guest, and it could be someone living, someone famous, you know, someone, a politician, you know, someone from the royal family, or, you know, it could be someone who's passed away from many years ago, but who if you could have any guests, who would you have?
Okay, I have two answers for this.
Oh, good. Well, I like that
because they're two extremes. So I think my first person would be Dan Millman, who's an author. He wrote The Way of the Peaceful Warrior as a book I read when I was 16, and he was a gymnast, and he had an accident and met somebody who basically changed his whole perspective on life.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It's a very, very inspiring book, and it's basically just teaches you to live in the present, and even to the point of breathing in the present. You know, you can actually learn to breathe better than what you do, you know, if you're sat at a desk, whether you should breathe from your diaphragm or from your lungs and your chest. And this particular book, it goes through how to learn to live in the present. So if somebody died, you would grieve that person at that moment, but you wouldn't continue to grieve them. You would expel all of the energy out of you, and it's a very hippie, you know, hippie dippy.
What's it called? I want to read it. What's it called again?
The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan. I'm
going to write this down. The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. Wow.
And I read it when I was 16, and it kind of changed my way of thinking, and it's very interesting. So
The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. I'm writing that down, because I love any, you know, books that sort of make you think, you know, not necessarily the path is always the right path, that we're all told to tread, is it? You know, you should open. I think I always teach my children, always ask questions. It's fine to ask questions. You know, don't always accept what is there in front of you. I always use your mind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think actually that in life could protect you, could, you know, could save your life even.
Yeah, because
you know,
there's lots of things that are placed, you know, there's lots of stereotypes that are placed upon people within society as you grow up, and I think sometimes to challenge those can actually help you grow as a person.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I think we're on the same wavelength there, Shaney. I really believe that. You know, it's almost like sometimes my journey of jewellery, I don't know if you think like this, but sometimes I've had a piece of jewellery and I've heard other jewellery dealers say this, and it's come to me in a funny way, and it's almost, you know, maybe I have sold it on, but it's almost like it wanted to come within my property for some reason, and belong to me, and then I've like let it go to somewhere else. And I have had, I think, at least 2 or 3 things, because I've been dealing in over 30 years. I've had at least, maybe more, 2 or 3 things that I've bought, I've sold. They may be gone to America, or I don't know, somewhere abroad, out of my hand, out of this, and they've come back to me. I've bought them back years later through a different source. And I tell you what, when that's happened, you know, when you get that cold feeling, like when you're having an anesthetic, I'm like, oh, like someone's walked over your grave. You know, I've had that happen a few times, and I thought, this is incredible, this piece. And I just, as soon as I put it in my hand, you know, I mean, often with jewellery, you have to get your loop and completely identify the little marks and things that you know that is the piece. But yeah, I've had that happen a few times, and it's quite spooky. It's a bit, woo, you know. Well, who's your other dinner guest anyway?
So my other dinner guest would be Coco Chanel.
Oh,
because
fantastic.
she was such a very strange, bizarre character, and as amazing as the Chanel brand is and everything else, the way that it came about, her life story, where she started and where she came from, there were so many fables made up that she made herself up about herself, of where she'd started and what she'd done, and I'd love to sit and ask her why.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, all these fables, you keep seeing them come up even on Instagram, don't you? You know, and I love them. They're like things I think, yeah, you're my sort of woman, you know. So I think we're both, I'm so glad you've come on and chatted to me, Shaney, because, you know, like when we've chatted and met at the markets, you know, it's very quick, and you're getting on with your business, I'm getting on with mine, and you know, it's quite formal, isn't it? And I found that it's really, I've, you know, found out a little bit more about you by chatting to you, and I hope everybody's really enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah.
I have.
It's been great. It's been really good, and I was really nervous, so now I'm not.
No, I told you we're just having a good old chat, and if anybody's there and they're interested in hearing about a couple of jewellery dealers chatting about the business and how it works and what we buy and sell, you know, I just, you know, I just want to share it. So but anyway, I'm gonna go now, but Shaney, good luck with the auction tonight.
Thank you.
And I hope some people follow you from this chat, and also buy from you, because if they're sensible, they will.
Yeah. Well, I've got 1 follower to go, and I reach 1,000.
Oh, come on, everybody that's watching this, you must have a friend or someone, if you're not following Shaney already. Pop her to the 1,000 followers. Come on, somebody. Well, I'm gonna I don't know if John, who works for me, my photographer, but he might not be following you, but if you need one, I'm going to get him to follow you in a minute so that you go over.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Oh, anyway, Shaney, have a fantastic weekend and a bank holiday. Have you got anything? Are you working all weekend? Have you got any plans?
I'll be at Covent Garden.
Oh, well, I'm going to come and see you one Monday morning when I'm up there, because I love Covent Garden. It's a fantastic market. It's good atmosphere there, isn't it?
It's brilliant. We'll do. That'd be great.
Yeah, I will do. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye now, and I suppose I'll see you in a couple of weeks at Kempton.
See you soon.
See you soon. Bye, everyone. We're going to go now.
Bye.
Bye. So Shaney's gone now. Thank you everyone who joined my live. I hope you really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed chatting to Shaney. God, you never really know about someone, do you, till you sort of chat and find out things. So anyway, I've really enjoyed it today. And I'm trying to think who I've got next week. I can't remember, but I've got some really great guests coming up. I mean, people are contacting me and I can't believe it that they want to come on and chat to me, but they do. So yeah, keep posted and come back next week for more jewellery talk. I'm going to go now, but have a lovely Friday and a lovely weekend, everyone. See you. Bye.